Something slipped out when I was drunk at a party and I think it broke my wife. Now nothing I say can fix our marriage. I still don't know how it all went so wrong. One minute, everything seemed perfect. My wife and I had been together for 7 years, 3 beautiful children, and a life that seemed as solid as you could get. And then, out of nowhere, everything fell apart, a chain reaction that began with something I said while I was drunk at a party. It all started when I was talking to one of my friends, who was single and lamenting his luck with relationships. I didn't think much of it at first. We were just talking about love and relationships, nothing too deep. But my friend's complaints were about the superficial things, how his past girlfriends didn't look the way he wanted, how they weren't his type. He was focusing on looks and I thought I would provide some kind of counterpoint, something deeper. So, maybe a little too much in my cups, I blurted out, "You don't fall in love with looks. Look at me and my wife. I love her more than anything compared to my ex who was just looks." The room went silent. I should have known then that I'd made a mistake, but in my drunken state I tried to recover. I fumbled through my words saying things like, "It's not about looks, it's about what's inside. My wife is more than just her appearance." But the damage was done. The conversation turned awkward. Everyone just stood there and I kept trying to explain myself, making everything worse. I could feel the tension building, but nothing I said would undo the damage. The next morning I thought it would blow over. It didn't. My wife was angry, hurt, and confused. She didn't cry at first, but she didn't look at me the same way either. She wanted to understand what I meant, but every explanation I gave just seemed to dig the hole deeper. She kept saying that I'd drunk-talked my true feelings, that the alcohol had made me speak honestly. I kept repeating how much I loved her, how I think she's the most beautiful woman in the world. But nothing I said could erase the fact that I had implied something that stuck with her, something she couldn't shake. The days dragged on and nothing seemed to improve. My wife's anger simmered, but then something else happened. One morning she looked at me emotionless and simply said, "I've never felt as ugly as I felt this past week." Her words hit me like a physical blow. She wasn't crying. She wasn't even angry. She just sounded empty. That was the beginning of something I couldn't reverse. It wasn't just the pain in her voice. It was the change in her. Something shifted inside of her that I couldn't fix. I tried apologizing desperately. I told her I loved her more than anything, that I thought she was more beautiful than anyone, but nothing seemed to land. She wasn't angry anymore, she was just distant. And the worst part was I didn't know how to bring her back. It was like she was slipping away from me. Over the next few weeks she changed. She started working out obsessively, sometimes 6 or 7 days a week. She lost 20 pounds and I couldn't even recognize her anymore. It wasn't just the weight loss, it was the way she withdrew from me. She would spend time with the kids or go out with friends and family, but I was the one who was left out. She stopped spending time with me altogether. If we were together, she was always distracted, on her phone, reading, or with her headphones in, avoiding any kind of connection. She started dressing differently too. Before, she was always comfortable around me, even in casual clothes. But now she was always fully clothed, even when we were alone in bed. She would lock the bathroom door when she showered. It felt like she was hiding something from me or maybe even from herself. And then there was social media. She had never been very active before, but now it was different. She posted pictures constantly, showing off her body in workout clothes, her face glowing in selfies. She'd thank people for their compliments, the same people who would always tell her she was beautiful. But she wasn't posting pictures of our family anymore, or of the things that used to matter. She had become a stranger and I couldn't get through to her. I had broken her. I had never meant to, but I had. And now I had no idea how to fix it. After a few months of silence between us, we started going to counseling. I thought it would help, but it felt like I was pushing a boulder up a hill. My wife was distant, reluctant to open up. At first, she just wanted to pretend everything was fine, as if we could keep moving forward without addressing the elephant in the room. But then, during one session, she looked at me and asked the question that had been haunting us both. "Did you find me attractive when we first met?" she asked, her voice flat, her eyes searching. It felt like a punch in the gut. I couldn't lie to her, not anymore. I loved her more than anything, but no, I didn't find her immediately attractive. I remembered the way I thought about her when we first met. She wasn't my type. But she was sweet, lovable, and so easy to talk to. Over time, I fell for her completely, and eventually I couldn't imagine my life without her. But at the start, I had to admit it, she wasn't what I had imagined I'd end up with. She cried and it broke me. She was devastated, not by what I said, but by the realization that the one person whose opinion mattered the most to her didn't find her attractive when we first met. She said she had always known she wasn't the most beautiful woman, but she had always been considered beautiful by others. But for me, the man she loved and had built a life with, she wasn't beautiful in the way she wanted to be. And that, to her, was the final blow. We talked for hours, but there was no easy resolution. After that session, she apologized for making such a big deal out of something she knew was shallow. But I could see it in her eyes. She wasn't apologizing to me, she was apologizing to herself, for caring so much about something she didn't want to matter. I think she was trying to make sense of everything, but it was too late. A few days later, she told me she didn't think she could stay in the marriage anymore. She said something inside of her had broken, that she didn't feel like herself anymore. She asked me if I would try to hurt her if we separated, if I would use our children to get back at her. And I promised her that I would never do that, no matter what. I loved her and I wanted her to be happy, even if it wasn't with me. Our families have been in turmoil over this. They're angry at her, calling her insecure, telling her she's letting her own feelings ruin a good thing. But I don't think it's insecurity. It's something deeper. She's always been beautiful, but for her, the only person whose approval mattered was mine. And when she realized I didn't give her that, when I didn't see her the way she wanted to be seen, it shattered something in her that she hasn't been able to fix. I wish I could fix this. I wish I could make everything better, but I don't know how. I feel like I've lost her, and no amount of apologies, no amount of love, can bring her back. She's not the same person anymore, and neither am I. And I'm not sure there's any way forward for us now.